So we're definitely going to have the conversation of what happened to comedy. Where's comedy begun? Where's it gone? So we're definitely going to have that conversation. Stay tuned.
Always do it on my own, so I gotta get through it. And the only thing I know is to love what I'm doing. Never give up, never slow, till I finally prove it. Never listen to the no's, I just wanna keep moving. Keep my head up when I act, head up, that's a fact. Never looking back, I'ma keep myself on track. Keep my head up, staying strong, always moving on. Feel I don't belong, tell my thoughts to move along. Push myself to be the best, die with no regrets. Live with every breath, see my message start to spread. And I had so many dreams, then you hit your teens. Life ain't really what it seems, try to find out what it means. Always do it on my own, so I gotta get through it. And the only thing I know is to love what I'm doing. Never give up, never slow, till I finally prove it. Never listen to the no's, I just wanna keep moving. Yeah, I put out all this art, it's my only medicine. Yeah, everything I do, I'm just being genuine. Yeah, I'm sick of being screwed, feel my own adrenaline. Yeah, I do just what I do, and I hope you let me in, yeah. I'm grateful, oh yeah, able, oh yeah, I'm stable, oh yeah, no label, oh yeah, you know me, I have only a path, I'm lonely, but damn, I'm going to win. I want no fake love, I want the real stuff. Everybody listen up, cause I'll only say it once. I'm gonna show you all the path, if you want it bad. I'm gonna show you where it's at, yeah, how you can get it back. Yeah, cause I ain't never done, I'll be number one. Working hella hard until I get just what I want, yeah. Rises like the sun, yeah, fatal like a gun. Shooter's gonna shoot and I'm gonna shoot until I won, yeah. Always do it on my own, so I gotta get through it. And the only thing I know is to love what I'm doing. Never give up, never slow, till I finally prove it. Never listen to the no's, I just wanna keep moving. Yeah, I put out all this art, it's my only medicine. Yeah, everything I do, I'm just being genuine. Yeah, I'm sick of being screwed, feel my own adrenaline. Yeah, I do just what I do, and I hope you let me in, yeah. Stable, oh yeah, no label, oh yeah, you know me, I have only a path, I'm lonely, but damn, I'm going to win, yeah. I used to feel like a rock, invincible, everything's impossible. Give me hope, give me strength, give me something, anything that I could believe in. I recall the day I woke up.
What's going on, everybody? So yeah, we want to have a conversation, and basically, I want to kind of dig deep into a topic. We can show examples of what we're talking about. We can use some videos to kind of show some examples. But I like conversation and just picking a topic and running with it. So we're gonna definitely do that. And my man Julio is here. What's going
How's
on,
it going?
buddy? What's
It's going
happening?
great. How are you,
So
Derek?
I'm doing well. So I approached you a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, and was like,
Mhm.
"Hey, I want to have a show where we dig deep into conversation and a topic, and it relates. I'm a movie guy. You're a music guy, so we're in the creative spaces, but it's like digging deep into one topic that kind of affects both of us, depending on
Mhm.
if you're scoring a movie or if I'm writing a movie or I'm writing a comedy. So it definitely affects both of us, and I thought it'd be cool to just have a conversation. So
Yep, that sounds great. I'm looking forward to it.
so so
Comedy, I
um,
think comedy is an interesting topic because I think more so than drama, there are so many different types of comedy, and there are so many different ways that people enjoy their comedy. So what's funny to this person might not be funny to this person. Whereas I think drama is just a little bit more all encompassing
mhm.
when you're following somebody's journey, the struggles they have, and then they get some sort of resolution at the end, whether it be positive or negative. Whereas comedy is like almost niche, and you could be some people like surreal comedy, like I do, situational comedy, improv comedy. And so it's
Slapstick,
just
goofy,
slaps. Yep.
dick and fart jokes, all kinds of different
Right.
things. And you said exactly what I was going to say. Comedy is so uh, niche. What I think's funny, you may not think is funny. You're like, that's the biggest. And then try to write it where it's like try to write something that relates to everyone. That's
Mhm.
not going to just this part of the population is going to get or understand your comedy, and everybody else hates it. So
Yeah.
that's
And
probably the hardest part,
even the challenge, like we do, I don't know if you grew up on these, but I grew up on sitcoms was the huge thing. Not so much anymore, but back when I was growing up, and I didn't think about it at the time until you mentioned this topic. And I'm like, even though I didn't like some of them, I got to give kudos to the writers to come up with something every week and try to be funny. I mean, that must be a challenge. So
And
just a
and
few.
back then they back then it was one of those things where they had to write 20 episodes, 25
Mhm.
episodes. So we're going to look at a couple legends right here, and we had talked to a little bit of it on backstage. That a lot of the comedy places, a lot of the comic strip stand-up comedy places, that's a lot of the comedy from movies and television come out of these clubs.
Mhm.
So this is a clip, and I'm a Kinnison fan. I
Oh
know
yeah.
he's vulgar and he was a wild man. Everybody knows that, and he was a cokehead, and he was crazy. Everybody understands that, but there is no denying that he wasn't a genius because he absolutely was.
He was
And his
The Ric Flair of comedians. He lived the gimmick.
Yes. And he was a preacher. His family were preachers. So he could speak to people like it was the church of comedy. So people could understand, even though he was a wild man, but how he presented it
Mhm.
was amazing. And people loved him. And I loved him as a little kid. It's like he's vulgar, but I love him.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah. Watching him do his routine was like getting punched in the face in a good way.
yeah. So he appeared in Rodney Dangerfield's Back to School movie, which is a great movie. I absolutely
Mhm.
love Back to School. And this is where it started is Rodney Dangerfield gave him a platform at his club to do stand up. So I've got this is about 10-minute clip of Rodney introducing him and Kennison doing Kennison things. So we're going to check it out, and we'll pause it and comment on it and stuff like that. So
Mhm.
let me get started here. Coat with the beret is classic
Mhm.
Sam Kinison. Like this
Mhm.
classic. And that was a style in the 80s, and he rocked
Yeah.
it.
He crossed over into music a little bit, and he had a hit with a cover of Wild Thing, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, and he was hanging out with rock stars. So he was living the comedian lifestyle and the rock star lifestyle,
Mhm.
and it's wild because he died in a car accident, not on anything. Driving to a gig, and he died in a car accident. So
Mhm.
it's like it's crazy how somebody could just be that wild and drugs and the whole thing and die in a car accident.
Yeah.
It's
That
kind of
wasn't his
weird.
fault, I don't
And it
think.
wasn't his fault. Somebody hit
No.
him head on as he was going to a gig. But anyway,
Right in the feels. It's funny he mentioned like it was on my record, that's something I haven't heard. Like there's no comedy album CDs anymore, I don't think.
no, not that I know of. Not that I know.
I don't even think they get released on Spotify. I mean, I just don't think it's a thing, like a long form.
It goes Netflix or nothing, right?
Mhm.
Maybe.
Yep.
I mean, I know YouTube has a large comedy platform. That's where I got these clips and stuff from. I just love watching. Like and you can deep dive so quickly. So I'll put Sam Kinison and just a bunch of his stuff comes up.
Mhm.
But he was popular for about 4 or 5 years. So he changed his act, but not a whole lot, because it's not like he had a span of 20, 25, 30 years where it's like you have to constantly be evolving. He
Mhm.
was really popular for a short period of time. So if you watch a lot of his clips, they're all kind of similar, because you're talking about a sample size of 4 or 5 years. So kind of,
He was very Andrew Dice Clayish in that he had a bit and he just did the bit. If you went to a Sam Kinison concert and he didn't scream like that, you go, fuck, I paid to hear you scream. You know, like going to a Rolling Stones concert and they don't play Satisfaction. You're like,
yeah, and Max McJagger's
do the
not doing
thing.
his whole thing.
Right.
Interesting, considering 2025, and this was like 1984.
Man's profit.
Interesting how interesting how the world just kind of keeps going back to the same stuff. You know what I mean?
Yep. What's old is new again. Yep.
Yeah, pretty much. And style, like, hairstyles are the same and clothing is the same. It's kind of wild.
Just his range. I'll bet you he'd be a great lead singer.
He probably would, because I was just going to comment about the voices, where it's like, I stuck about me. Yeah, he's got a wide range of voices for sure. I mean, like I said, he was a wild man, but just to be like a fly on the wall would be great.
Dr. Ruth. One thing I like about his routine and other comedians like him is it's funny, but there's truth. Like a lot of there's pathos in there.
Yeah, he's not making up a story that he wasn't involved in some way. He could be he could be Hollywoodizing it, obviously.
Oh, sure.
But yeah, there is a personal touch to it, and he has been divorced twice, but so he can speak to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's a hyperbolic version of the truth. Because I'm listening to him, I'm like, yep.
Chappelle does the same thing. Dave Chappelle does the exact same thing. As there is some sort of truth in there. It might be hyperbolic. He's a great storyteller, but yeah, there is some sort of truth in there.
Mm-hmm. You've got to be have a set of balls to do stand-up comedy. I mean, I'm trying to compare it to me being in bands. I was a guitar player and a backup singer. If I had a bad song, I had the rest of the band to cover for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you do stand-up comedy like this, you're out there way out on your own. It takes a lot of bravery, I think, to do something like that. Confidence.
Yeah. And bravery, but like no fucks given at all.
Mm-hmm.
Because you are gonna bomb. It is gonna be bad.
Yeah.
I think going into it. And comedy as a whole is like that. Like we were talking earlier about like trying to do comedy, and what's funny for me is not funny for you, and it's kind of the same thing. Mm-hmm. Obviously, this is classic Kinison, so he's already had his lumps, so he knows what he's going to get chuckle over. You know what I mean? But still, like for people to think that they're going to be able to just go on a stage and be able to do something like this,
you've got to go at it. You've got to go at it like he does. You got to go all out. It's all or nothing. It's like an athlete. They say, if you play at half speed because you're worried about getting hurt, that's when you get hurt. You have to go full bore all the time.
Oh, absolutely. It'd been great to have a skit where you have like the nice Kinison on a shoulder and the one that's like, do I punish it?
Yeah. Yeah. They did that in Animal House, I think, not to get off track, but they had a scene where it's an angel on one shoulder and the devil.
You're a good boy.
Yeah.
Now he's the best. Like I said, he's vulgar. He's not for everyone, but there's some sort of truth in it, and how he delivers it is just classic.
There's only one of him. He's very unique.
Yes. One of his favorite jokes of his, where he talks about like the Save the Children. Remember the Save the Children PSAs back when we were little kids?
Oh,
where
sure. Sally
they would have
Struthers.
like the flies on the kid's face,
Yeah.
and he would be like, "Well, why can't the cameraman give him a sandwich?" And then he's like, "I got one piece of advice for everybody: move where the food is."
The joke, I don't know if it was him. I can't remember if this was his joke or something, but he's talking about sex all the time. The joke is, my wife told me to give her 12 inches and make it hurt. So I fucked her twice and hit her over the head with a brick. I think that was, it was like that one.
So this is, we're basically going to go from one extreme to another because of how we're going to talk about it, where he is vulgar, he's crazy, he's screaming and yelling. And then we're going to show a couple examples a little bit later of what comedy is now. And the difference between 20 to 30 years is mind blowing. And what people get butt hurt over. Nobody ever, like in the comedy world, Kennison is one of the top people.
Yeah.
And none of the comedians ever have a bad word to say about Kennison. Yeah, he's a wild man. Yes, he's a druggie, all this other stuff. They would say that, but they never had a bad thing. Nowadays, it's one of those things where it's like, well, he had a joke that was inappropriate. And it's like, Kennison's whole set was inappropriate. Like, what could you pick out that wasn't? Like,
that's true.
Or dick and fart jokes or sex jokes or whatever it was.
People have seemed to lost the plot when it comes to the people doing the show. It's not their whole persona. Like in normal life, they're most likely not like that. But they see somebody like Sam Kinison screaming about it. Nowadays, if you saw that, they go, this guy's misogynist asshole, and they'd assume he's like that 24/7, which is ridiculous. Like he's putting on a show. You've got to, like I said, hyperbolic, use that word again. You've got to be like that.
Now, do you think it's because the parents grew up with people like Kennison, Dangerfield,
Red
a
Fox,
bunch of other comedians that were very good at what they did? They might have been out there, they might have been cussing and screaming. Do you think that the parents are overcompensating on the parenting side of things because of stuff like this, and that's why people have been really soft and real like, oh, you can't say that?
I do have a theory on that, but it actually extends out to other things other than comedy. I think lack of fathers in the household caused all this.
True, because I mean, Kennison in that 15-minute bit that we watched he's talking to dudes, talking to dads.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
in
the crowd because there were women that loved Kennison, but he's talking about guys. He's talking to guys.
Yeah, even my own kids, who were mostly spent more time with their mom than me after the divorce and all that, but they're like soft, kind of. And I have to, especially the girls, I'm like, it's just a joke, hon. It's not, don't get offended by it. But,
it's almost like they think it's real, just like like an actor that's acting in a movie. There's a lot of people in the United States and other places that think it's real, that person is that person. Do you think that it's the same thing with comedians where they think it's that person, even though it's a bit? He can be the sweetest guys of cupcakes, but his act is just craziness. And people think that's who he is.
I do think people think that way nowadays. Yep. You got to separate. Like, you can't separate. People can't separate the art from the artist. It's like, it's like even with music. If I didn't listen to musicians that have a different political opinion than I do, there'd be a lot of great music that I would miss out on, which seems like throwing the baby out with the bathwater. I'm like, it's like, well, he looks at the world this way, and I don't agree, but I'm not going to discount like what he's done in the music business. Yeah, there was also a little more mystery to celebrities back then. They were, I think, like take the Oscars for example. Like I used to watch the Oscars back when I was a kid because I wanted to see the stars. It was like the super stuff. Yeah, but now they're all over social media nonstop, and it's almost like people have a false sense of friendship with them. Parasocial, I think, is what they call it.
I think so. I've heard creators talk about it. I don't know a whole lot about that, but you're right. Where there's too much of a person out there now. Which who was I was watching Ben Affleck was talking about that on a podcast because he has his movie come out, Accountant 2. And he was talking about he's not a fan, is every time that the paparazzi gets him out in public, he seems like he's pissed off. Like there's that trope about him.
Mhm.
And he's like, because I am. He's like, I'm just not a type of person that likes to put myself out there. He's like, I'm an actor and it comes with the business of side of things, but he's like, I'm a private person who happens to love acting. I love doing what I like to do. But he's like, as far as like the public persona and putting myself out there, he's like, I don't like doing that. So he's like, every time somebody says you look pissed off, because I am pissed off. He's like,
well, and
you know what I mean?
Like, the audience has the way I look at it is this: Ben Affleck or Sam Kinison. Sam Kinison. His job is to make you laugh. You pay $20, you watch the show. Either he makes you laugh or he doesn't, and that's the end of the relationship. As far you paid your money, you got what you paid for, and that's it. That doesn't give you the right to assume you're going to get any access to him after the show or in his home life. So I hear where Affleck's coming from. It must be frustrating for them.
Yeah, and then he was also talking about the suspension of disbelief is messed up because people know too much about someone.
Mhm.
So if they're playing a character, you're thinking that Ben Affleck is this way when he's trying to play a character that's this way. So I was like,
I see
it's
what you're
actually
saying.
pretty insightful. Like,
I never thought of that. That's true.
I never thought about that. Where it's
so you're saying, yeah, you would go see a movie and go, well, that's not Ben Affleck that I know from social media all over the place.
Yep.
Oh.
So he was talking about he's not on social media, and a lot of the actors over 50 basically aren't really 45, 50 aren't really on social media because he said that very thing where it's like the suspension of disbelief. He's like, I don't want Ben Affleck playing this person. I want you to think that I am that person. You're suspending your disbelief, which I was like, that's actually pretty legit things, because it's like you don't really hear Ben Affleck talk a lot like in public. He doesn't really.
No, he's been on
much.
He was on a couple panel shows. I think Bill Maher's show he was on, and he kind of made an ass of himself.
Oh,
so
did he?
Maybe he learned his lesson. So maybe I should just shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
unless I'm in a movie.
Yeah.
Right?
So, but I thought that was pretty interesting how he put it, and it's like, actually, you're actually pretty spot on. Like I didn't think about it that way. You know what I mean? So, okay, so this is gonna be another Kinison, and then we have some other we have some other clips and stuff that we can talk about. But like I said, I wanted to go from one extreme to another.
Yeah.
So this is Kinison's role in Back to School, and this classic. So it's like, okay, we got to play this.
Love that movie. Yeah.
And his being in Dangerfield's comedy club is us. This movie spawned off from that because obviously Dangerfield knew who he was, and
I love Dangerfield. He's 100% hit for me. Love his little short jokes, very self-effacing, hilarious dude.
And they were saying I was watching I can't remember who I was watching, and they were talking about Dangerfield like was the height of his success when he was older. Like he was like 50 or 55 when he was actually popular and people knew who he was. They said it was a struggle for him, a younger comic, where he just wasn't getting what he wanted out of things. And he stopped doing comedy for like 10 years and became like a siding like salesman or something like that.
Wow.
And it was like, wow, I never knew that he stopped doing comedy for like a long period of time. And then when he came back, it was different. Like, I don't know if he was more seasoned or what the deal was, or maybe he got bad advice when he was younger. I'm not quite sure, but I thought that was interesting where it's like he was a siding salesman and quit comedy for like 10 years.
I can't picture Rodney Dangerfield looking any way other than I remember him. I can't picture him as a young person. To me, he's always like that age in a suit, like an older.
Yeah. And I think that in the trope with where he always says, I don't get any respect. No respect.
Yeah, with the tie.
Yeah. And I think he got that because of the struggles that he had as a young comic, not doing anything. Because he thought he was being disrespected. He wasn't getting opportunities, all that stuff, So, but yeah, this was after his appearance at Dangerfields, and this is basically his first movie outside of doing HBO and Showtime specials, comedy specials. So this is just classic.
Now, can someone tell me why in 1975 we pulled our troops out of Vietnam?
The failure of Vietnamization to win popular support caused an ongoing erosion of confidence in the various American but illegal Saigon regimes.
Is she right? Because I know that's the popular version of what went on there. I know a lot of people like to believe that. I wish I could, but I was there. I wasn't here in the classroom hoping I was right, thinking about it. I was up to my knees in rice paddies with guns, and then we're going up against Charlie, slugging it out with him, while pussies like you were back here partying, putting headbands on, doing drugs, listening to the goddamn Beatle albums.
I was like that back there.
I love after she gave her answer, just that immediately look of disdain on his face, like he knew something was. He just looked disgusted.
And the girl's the typical. I'm sitting in the front row. I'm gonna answer every question, and he just kind of just bitch slaps.
Professor, take it easy, will you? I mean, these kids, they were in grade school at the time. And me, I'm not a fighter. I'm a lover.
Well, I didn't know you wanted to get involved with the discussion, Mr. Helper. But since you want to help, maybe you can help me, okay? You remember that thing we had about 30 years ago called that Korean conflict? Yeah, where we failed to achieve victory. How come we didn't cross the 38th parallel and push those rice eaters back to the Great Wall of China and take the Berkeley brick and nuke them back into the fucking Stone Age River? How come? Tell me why. Say it.
All right, I'll say it. Because Truman was too much of a pussy wimp to let MacArthur go in there and blow out those commie bastards.
Good answer. Good answer. Like the way you think. I'm going to be watching you.
A good teacher. He really seems to care. About what, I have no idea.
Kinnison actually good acting, I think.
Yeah, I thought he was a pretty good actor too.
Yeah.
Pretty funny. I just like the little Mr. Helper. and obviously we didn't have access to that first video because when I was a little kid, my parents weren't letting me watch Kinnison screaming and yelling and calling F-bombs and everything. So I didn't have access to it. So this was the first introduction to Kinnison that I had watching Back to School. So I was like, okay, this guy's crazy and I love it.
I was fortunate enough to have a mom who wasn't very restrictive. I think the first movie she ever took me to was at a drive-in somewhere. It was Blazing Saddles, and I think it was 9 or something. So she kind of let me watch whatever, thankfully.
You know what's the interesting part about Blazing Saddles, and I don't think a lot of people know, is I hate people that say, well, that wouldn't be made today. They couldn't do that today. It's like, and it's like, well, there's a bunch of white people in it making fun of a black people. Richard Pryor is the one that wrote that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he wrote that.
I thought Mel Brooks wrote it.
Oh. Richard Pryor wrote it, and then he couldn't get funding. He couldn't get what he wanted out of it, so he backed away. And then Mel Brooks stepped in. There were some other people that got involved. But the original script is written by Richard Pryor. And people I didn't
know that either. That's
yeah.
But you're right. Blazing Saddles. That's one of the things I think about when I think of that movie. I think badges. We don't need no sticking badges. I think the sheriff is an N-word, and I think, boy, they couldn't make that today. That's like the movie everybody refers to when they say they couldn't make X today.
But it's disheartening when people just aren't educated as far as like, well, it's a bunch of white people making fun of black people. A black guy wrote it. So,
well, let's not get facts in the way of a good opinion.
Yeah, let's not get some facts involved here.
Right.
So, but yeah, it's pretty wild. Okay, so this is more politically correct. Happened a few years before the Kinnison stuff. So, we're just trying to tell a little story, even though the dates don't line up and all this other stuff. But this is the trailer for one of my favorite comedies of all time, and so let's get into it. And I think you guys might have watched it one of the Saturdays.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I was surprised at how well this holds up. It's still funny.
It is funny, and this is the trailer for it. Thank you, Paramount, for making one of my favorite movies.
Oh, you're fucked now. Steve Reich.
Stand by for
I
the
love
most
Jaws.
extraordinary chain of events ever swept up into high adventure.
Hey, Larry, where's the forklift? Forklift? It's over there for the baggage loader.
Airplane. Airplane is drama.
This is Dr. Brody at the Mayo Clinic. There's a passenger on your Chicago flight 209, a little girl named Lisa Davis, en route to Minneapolis. She's scheduled for a heart transplant. I want you to make sure that she's kept in a reclined position and that a continuous watch is kept on her IV.
I don't know why, but his background cracks me
Is
up. Just
action.
pills, that huge
Yeah,
cabinet
in
full
the
of
heart,
giant pill
jumping
bottles.
up and down. That's pretty funny.
Airplane is romance.
I love you, Elaine.
I love you.
Airplane is music.
There is only one river. There is only one sea.
Airplane is dancing. Never has the screen been so big.
You ever been in a cockpit before?
No, sir, I've never been up in a plane before.
Peter Graves,
You ever seen a grown man naked?
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar,
My name is Roger Murdoch. I'm an airline pilot.
Leslie Nielsen,
This woman has to be gotten to a hospital.
A hospital? What is it?
It's a big building with patients. That's not important right now.
Lloyd Bridges,
Johnny, what can you make out of this?
This? Well, I can make a cap, or a brooch, or pterodactyl.
Robert Stack,
All right, Steve, let's face a few.
And he was in a movie that we watched, right? Chicken Fried Movie.
Oh yeah. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, and he was great in Airplane. But
Mhm.
yeah, it was funny how we picked it up, and it's the same director and some of the same producers that did
Yeah.
Facts.
And we hope you enjoy the rest of your flight.
Julie Haggerty,
By the way, is there anyone on board who knows how to fly a plane?
Can you fly this plane and land it?
Robert Hayes,
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
I gotta get out of here. I gotta get out of here. Down, get a hold of yourself.
please let me handle this.
Calm down. Now get back to your seat. I'll take care of this. Calm down. Get a hold of yourself.
Doctor, you want on the phone.
Everything's
They got one more in there.
Handle this.
Mayday! Mayday!
And that part right there is where the plane is shimmering, and they show the girl's breast bouncing back and forth, and then it's shaking, and it's going up and down. Like that. I mean, that's the style of comedy that was popular back then. And it's one of those, again, I hate to think, well, that couldn't be made this today.
And compared to other things that were out at the time, this is like kind of calm compared.
the most incredible adventure the screen has ever created.
He's coming right at us!
The big news is Airplane.
I'll bet the writer's room for that movie was fucking fun. to be
Oh,
in.
there was probably so many ideas just being tossed out, and they're
Yeah, you're just one-upping the guy across from you, then he one-ups you, and it gets crazier and crazier. But yeah, dude, like I know you agreed with me when I said that I think that movie has aged well, whereas some comedies from back then, like I revisited Stripes, the Bill Murray movie, which I remember liking.
Yeah.
And then I watched it recently. And I'm like, it kind of doesn't hit the same anymore. I wonder why that is. Like, what might be a good conversation for another.
Was the
Another
maybe
show.
was the gags overplayed, or did it just not tell the story that you remember when you were a little kid?
I didn't think the jokes landed as much as they did when I was younger. So I don't know. But Airplane is more like slapsticky. I think that has an evergreen quality to it, like somebody getting slapped upside the head. That's been in comedy since, I mean, Shakespeare. You know.
And it's crazy because Leslie Nielsen was a dramatic actor, and they didn't know if when he signed up to do the movie, it's like, well, can he be funny? And then he came in playing the very serious part where it's just like, it's a big building with patience, but that's not important right now.
He's got perfect deadpan delivery.
Yes. So they found a way to use him, even though he's a dramatic actor during the time, because this was before Police Squad and all that stuff, where again, he was playing sort of the straight man who's everything's happening around him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Airplane was the kind of granddaddy of those types of comedies, if I remember correctly. It was the first.
Yeah. Airplane was definitely one of a kind. And Airplane 2, I think, holds up too. Even though Airplane 1 is probably my favorite. So, kind of pushing it forward a little bit. And I have a video. Okay, so the Comedy Store in LA. Have you ever been to LA? Have you ever did some of the Comedy Store is legendary. I mean, you name it, they came out of the Comedy Store. And the do you know who okay, so do you remember Pauly Shore?
Yeah, his mom owned the Comedy Store, right?
Well, his dad, Mitzi, his dad owned it, and his dad and his mom got divorced, and Mitzi took over. And I guess she was a character in her own. She wasn't a comedian, but she was a hell of a business person. And she was very rough around the edges, but she knew if she saw talent, she knew what talent looked like. And some of the stories and everything about the Comedy Store, and they owned a house like behind the Comedy Store. They had a house where they would rent it to comedians that came would do a couple months set at the Comedy Store. And then Pauly Shore was being babysat by different comedians over the years. Like there's a lot of stories if you dig deep into the Comedy Store. But the impact in comedy and the impact it had in movies that are comedies is unreal. From Richard Pryor, Robin Williams, I mean, you name it. David Letterman almost quit and went back to being a weather person until Mitzi basically said, no, you've got talent and we're going to get it out of you. And then he ended up, being what he was, in the late night sphere of things. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's crazy. So this is Tom Wilson. And I don't know if you guys know who Tom Wilson is, but he was Biff in Back to the Future.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And he was doing stand-up comedy before he started doing movies, before Back to the Future, all that stuff. And he's telling a story about John Belushi, and I thought it was interesting enough to kind of show it. And this was he's kind of giving you just like a little bit of a doorway into what it was back then. So let me pull it up for her.
So back here is where I met John Belushi. He was 1981. I was newly here, new comic, and he was coming in here every night, staying at the Chateau Marmont Hotel, about 2 or 3 blocks down there.
Okay, so just kind of give you the lay of the land. Chateau Marmont is iconic as far as the skeeziness of it, but also the celebrities that stayed there over the years. So that you can deep dive on that, and it's literally a couple blocks from the Comedy Store. And
I can only imagine the debauchery that went on in that place.
Oh yeah, I can only imagine. Yeah. And so he's sort of laying the pictures. It's a couple blocks down from the Comedy Store. And there was a couple famous rock and roll clubs that were happening during that time, where the whole area was just a hotbed for entertainment and skeeziness and debauchery and craziness. It's not like that anymore. Now it's a little bit more corporate. There's still little spots here and there, but there's high rises that went up there. So it's not any. It's 1,000% different than it was back then.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to the Comedy Store a couple times just to experience it. I mean, come on, it's a Comedy Store. So I went there and just bought a $20 ticket and just watched comic after comic after, and it's like a lot of the people are not new, but they're trying to get their name out there and they're doing their sets and everything else. And I saw Dax Shepard there. I don't know if you know who Dax Shepard is.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, I saw a couple other people and supposedly Chappelle would come to the Comedy Store without even announcing that he was going to show up to work on new material. How awesome would that be to go and see some local comics and just kind of support the store? And Dave Chappelle just walks in
right
to a set. How awesome would that be? But so yeah, so he's sort of like painting the picture.
I was back here one night. He comes weaving in, wasted. Went to sit in the steps back here. We had talked a few nights, so I felt like, hey, I'm getting to talk to John Belushi at the Comedy Store. Everything was special. This night, he was really out of it. So he sat on the steps that lead up to the belly room over here. Calls me over to him. So I go, hey, John, how's it going tonight? He goes, where am I? I go, at the Comedy Store, John. He goes, have I been here before? I say, you mean tonight? Have you been here before tonight? Because you've been here a bunch this week, but tonight you haven't been here yet. Tonight. Okay. Keeps sitting there, pulling out rumpled pieces of paper, phone numbers, dropping them. He looked ashen and terrible. Just then, Richard Pryor walked in the room for his sets that he was doing that night. Came into the room, saw John sitting on the steps, saw me there, walked over to us. Now, I got to admit, I didn't exactly move away because, I mean, I'm thinking, I'm hanging out in the back of the Comedy Store with Richard Pryor and John Belushi. Richard took out a clean handkerchief, ironed, unfolded the handkerchief, and placed it on the step next to John Belushi so he wouldn't soil his nice slacks. Sat down next to John Belushi and looked at me, which I took to mean I would like to speak to John. So it was right back here, right back through those doors. There's a staircase that goes there where Richard Pryor and John Belushi whispered to each other for a while. And after about a half an hour, John Belushi got up from those steps, walked out those doors, out here, down Sunset Boulevard. And that night, he died at the Chateau Marmont Hotel. I woke up in the morning, turned on the TV to see that big body bag being rolled out a couple blocks down from there. And I've always carried a souvenir with me because when he walked away from John Belushi, Richard Pryor left his handkerchief, which I've kept for 28 years now.
Wow.
I always felt bad that I didn't get him back his handkerchief, but I took it as a cautionary flag, a flag of surrender. But here's to you, Mr. Pryor, Mr. Belushi. God bless you.
So pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Now, the question I have is, this is a great video and telling a story and painting a picture of two fantastic comedians who had huge careers in the film industry, both of them. Different ways. Pryor had more producer stuff. He had bigger budget stuff than Belushi did, because Belushi was still kind of up and coming, even though he was pitched multiple ideas and nothing really sticked. But he had a drug problem. He had a big time drug problem, and I guess he borrowed like $1,200 or something that morning from his agent to front him money or something, and then he used it to do drugs and he died. Pretty crazy. But my question is, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry, Derek.
My question to you is if people see this type of thing and they saw John Belushi die, do you think that people at the time would encourage their children not to be as crazy, and the state of comedy now is changed because of stuff like this?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think a parent, maybe rightly so, would say, yeah, he's funny and all, and we enjoy watching him, but, don't be like him. Like, look, learn from his mistakes, I suppose. But yeah, you're right. But then they made everything so squeaky clean after all that you don't have anybody to not even look up to, look down to, so to speak. There's no lessons because everybody is squeaky clean now. It's all fake. That was real, those guys back then.
Yeah.
Those comedians were like rock stars back then, when Belushi and Kinison especially, but there were some other, Andrew Dice Clay.
Yeah.
And they all lived that rock and roll lifestyle.
And I don't fault comedians and actors for being a little different. I think them being different is what makes them good at what their craft is.
Yeah,
so I don't fault people musicians are the same way. Musicians are very different people. And I don't fault somebody for being different. But if somebody's trying to be squeaky clean and they haven't actually been involved in anything substantial as far as drama, good or bad, the level of comedy I don't think is as good as it used to be, because there was real world consequences back then for what they were doing. And we just watched Kinison do the same thing, where he was talking about like his life and stuff that he, in some ways, he was married to it, and it's a Hollywood version of it, and he's a comedian, so he's trying to entertain. But I don't think that comedy is the same, because a lot of these people that are coming up don't have any real world faults or defects, or
I think that
like
goes across. There was a danger in it back then that was palpable almost when you with the rock bands and comedians and such. But I lost my train of thought, Derek. I'm sorry, old man moment there. But I was going somewhere with that. But I lost it. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's all good. But it's one of those things where it's like I think that the comedy went PC and vanilla because of stories like this, incidents like this with different comics. Richard Pryor setting himself on fire. Yeah. There was a lot of stuff that happened in the 70s and 80s and early 90s that people took and said, well, my kid's not going to watch that type of stuff. Which I understand. I understand being protective of your child, but it's also going to affect the art of whatever it is that we're talking about: acting, writing, comedy, music. So I think there is a combination of, there's people that were sheltered that are in the spaces and they're making good stuff, but it's not iconic like it used to be. So I think there is stuff like that, but then I also think there's an agenda also. I think both things are true. You know what I mean?
Yeah, if I go to see a comedian or I go to see a musician, I don't want to go there and go, oh, he reminds me of me. I could do that. I want to see somebody that I go, God damn, I wish I could do. You know what I mean? I want to be inspired and see something more than myself. Not make it all. I don't want them to be relatable, really.
True. And I've always said it too. You know, when I was in LA, I don't have every answer for everything. I don't know everything there is to know about everything, but I want to work with people that are better than me.
Yeah.
I'm not throwing shade at people. I'm not saying, well, I could do that better. I never had that thought because I want to work with people that are better than me because it's going to make me better if I'm working with people that are better than me.
As a creator, you have to have that mindset. In my real quick detour, in my band, I write most of the songs, and I will go into the studio with an acoustic guitar and a mic, and I'll do my best to get it out to my bandmates. When the song's finally released, I'm rarely on it because my bandmate's better at guitar and bass than I am.
Yeah.
I don't care. I just want what's in here to get out there and have it sound something like what it sounded like in my head.
And
So
there's
you
a
have
lot
to drop
of
your
people
ego.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that can't do that. They're very like, well, they're very jealous. They're very resentful. If you get something that they think that they deserve or that they feel that they put some sort of work in to get better than what you have, we see this crap on YouTube all the time. I think that hurts art. I think it's about the movie. I told my actors, I told the other producer, I told everybody that was associated with my movie. It's about the movie. It's not about this person. It's not about that person. It's not about this ego or that ego. It's about the movie. And if you want, and if you're okay with that, and you understand that it's about the movie first, then we are going to get along perfectly.
Yep.
If
Similar
you
to
bring
music.
drama on my set, you go.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. It's about the song in my world. Same thing. You
It's about
just want the
song
song to be
It's
good.
about the art. Yeah. And there's a lot of people that we talked earlier that they can't separate the things. They can't separate their ego or what they think they deserve. That's why I'm a huge this whole thing about replacing people because of gender, replacing things because of the color of a person's skin. It affects art. I don't care if the person is amazing. It affects art. It affects the final product. And trying to pigeonhole whatever it is into something is going to make the story just kind of like bland. There's no heart to it. Just because you pigeonholed somebody for a certain reason. And I don't understand the same people that are pushing this stuff. I'm not going to say are always the art person, but they're majority on the left.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like you can't have both. You can't have great art and pigeonhole things at the same time. It doesn't work that way. I don't understand the mindset. You know what I mean? And I think, it relates to comedy as well,
I don't like watching a product or listening to a song feeling like the creator is telling me how to react to it or to like being preached at. In the creative process, I know we're getting off topic here, but real quick, to me, and I would imagine to you a little as a movie maker and me as a songwriter, once the song's done and out there, I divorce myself from it. I can't control how people react to it. I go, I'm happy with how it turned out. I'm proud to share it. I hope people like it. I would never go, what the fuck's wrong with you? You don't like this song? You must be some sort of racist or something. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, the Warriors the same way. Eventually I have to say it's done. I can't just keep rehashing the same thing. Eventually I have to say it's done.
Yeah,
and
creative projects are never finished.
Or they want to sit, backhand comment about like, well, this could have been better. It's like I understand that because I'm the biggest critic of all of them. You know what I mean? Like I may be overcritical, but eventually you have to say it's done. It's done. I can't.
Yeah, creative works are never finished, is the saying. They're just abandoned.
Yeah, there's a movie where they were doing the same art project for like 50 years or something. I can't. No. Like it has to be done. And I've had I had a movie of mine play at the Main Arts Theater in Royal Oak, Michigan, like 30 years ago, and it was a packed house. But then I've also had it where I showed it to like 4 people.
Yep.
So like you have to be able to push the ego aside and say, look, my movie is not for everyone, but you have to do your best to try to make it so that people can relate to it. And comedy is the same way as, Kinnison was, as vulgar as they are, but people can relate to it, especially guys. Guys are like, he is talking exactly what I'm thinking.
Mhm,
You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah. There's also something to be said. Like, I don't expect to make any money from my music at all. I'm too old
Yeah.
for that. I just like doing it. So it's a hobby for me. But I think when it gets converted from a hobby into a job, then you start to have to, think about the money thing and maybe be a little less genuine. And well, you even see with YouTube channels, like you can tell once the money starts rolling in and now they bought a house space, then they've got to play Satisfaction every night, like to use that analogy.
Yeah.
And they're no longer doing what's in here. They're doing what they think they want,
Which I
is
could
a
never
terrible
do.
way to do. No.
Like my content's always going to be changing. It's ever changing because it drives me crazy doing the same thing every day.
Yeah.
That drives me insane.
Sounds like
And
a job.
I understand working in a factory, you're doing the same thing, but it's different, especially when it's your name's on it. Your creativity is on it. It's different when you have skin in the game versus just showing up to a assembly line.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I have a couple videos, and these are later type of comedy type things, and I want to say probably the last 5 years, and I don't like the direction that it's going, where people in the audience think that they need to be involved in the show. And not to get too sexist, but it's mostly women that do it. There are some guys that do it. I'm not completely discrediting the guys for being douchebags, but for some reason, and it may be social media because they're trying to get a reaction for clicks. It could be. I'm not sure, but this is the state of comedy now. You've got icons, and then now you have audience members that think that they're part of the show, which drives me insane. So here we're going to do this first one, and a couple of these are really short. So
I look like I fucked a pig. Do I still owe your mum money? Is she annoyed? Is she?
It's a pretty good one.
But that's very short, and it was a very cool reaction. But an audience member who's just like, oh, you're fucking pigs or something. It's like, what? Like, you're not part of the show. Shut up. And if I was in the audience, I would be telling the dude, like, shut the fuck up. I'm paying to see this guy, not your ass.
Yeah. It's like sitting next to somebody at a rock concert and the person next to you is singing all the songs loudly. I'm like, I didn't come here to listen to you sing. I want to hear them sing.
It drives me insane. And here's another one. And the guy handled it perfectly. But the audience just feels like they need to be involved.
Thank you. This is way better than the last show I just did. They were all pieces of shit. That's how it was. Sometimes you don't get a good crowd. Sometimes you get a good crowd. They're not great. This is good. Like, this crowd feels great, but is gonna get good soon. I feel like I'm one bad joke away from this feeling like a public pool. That's no one's first choice to swim, but it's a pool. I'm gonna be the Band-Aid you swim away from. It's gonna be a fun night. Look at this room tonight. Look how we're all together in this room getting a new COVID variant. Don't you feel closer together knowing? Because comedy brings people together. That's why I think politicians should be forced to do stand-up. If any politician did stand-up in history, they could have avoided controversy. I voted for Joe Biden, but that shit didn't feel great. Felt like I was giving Grandpa the keys to the Oldsmobile and telling him to drive to California. That was the best of a bad situation. I give credit where credit is due. I'm probably the most pro-anti-Trump comic out there. That mother.
You're not.
Shut the fuck up!
black people.
I'm
no,
not.
Bitch, no, you're not.
Yes, I wasn't.
No, you were.
You just
you
tuned
were
in.
Trying to.
Well,
You were trying to.
For what? What are you up?
This is when you drop the N-bomb.
Yeah, exactly. He's in New York City. The type of jokes that he was making, I would expect it to be in more of a liberal setting.
Mm.
Him talking about he voted for Joe Biden and the variants. Like I don't necessarily think that you would hear that in like outskirts of Atlanta or something like that. So
yeah.
his comic style is relatable to somebody that lives in New York or a big city.
Mm-hmm.
And this lady just all of a sudden just puts herself in the show, and it's like it drives me insane. And she's not saying anything that is like a staged. Sometimes if somebody's good at crowd work, is they'll stage somebody in the crowd.
Yeah, put a plant.
And they're a plant. This lady was not a plant. She wanted to be involved. And is it social media or is she just a bitch? I can't tell. I think she
doesn't understand. There's it. Right. This show is not a conversation. It's a show.
Yeah.
He's talking to you. It's not two-way. You didn't pay for that. So on the other hand, I will mention watching this guy do comedy, and we watched Sam Kinison earlier. Just it's night and the energy level is night and day. Like I don't think he's particularly funny, but it may be because it's just not my style of comedy.
Yeah.
But I would, you know.
And I'm not going to fault somebody for their style, but you're right. The Kinison had just a lot of juju, a lot of
presence, big presence.
Yes, this guy is just a kind of a fast talker from New York. He's probably from Brooklyn or something because he's got like a New York accent to him, which I'm not going to fault him for that, but. And when you go to a show like this, you understand that people are different, and you're not going to see Sam Kinison walking up on the stage. Like, and you understand that, but there is definitely a difference between 30 years of Sam Kinison to this guy.
Yeah. Yep.
Which is wild. Which is absolutely wild. You would think that there would be people that were just as good, if not better, because they have technology, they have more knowledge, they have the ability to learn more. You would think that having more at your fingertips would make you better.
You would think, but it seems to be the opposite. It seems like the overload of information is making people dumber, you know?
Yeah, I think so. And it affects art. Whatever your art is, it affects it. And yes, we're talking about comedy, and like I said, it relates to movies and everything else, but it affects art.
Said about it's not me.
No, and shut up. Any black person ever try to laugh at his fucking jokes? No.
Stop having fun, motherfuckers.
Go ahead, yeah. Stop having fun.
Can we get her an Adam or something?
Wow. Are you serious?
Yeah, no, that's what happens.
No, you're white trying to like talk about no, and you.
My probation officer is here now. I don't know who the fuck you're mad at, but it's not me.
No, a white person trying to make fun of black people.
See, now you're crying. And
now she's crying. Why?
Because she's crazy. That's the short answer. Yeah. She's a
like she doesn't regardless of this race bullshit, she doesn't understand that it's a show and that she's not part of it.
I guess you're not supposed to get offended anymore at these shows. Is that everybody? It's like the world is not a safe space. People need to understand that.
Why would she, if she was that much of a psychotic weirdo, why would she agree to go there? You know what I mean?
No idea. Yeah, I don't know what drives people to do something like that.
I don't understand the motivation of people, honestly.
I was just trying to make you laugh.
No, don't do that.
Okay, I'm sorry. Now I'm gonna make fun. I was trying to be empathetic.
It wasn't funny.
It was not.
No. I don't care. You trying to like laugh at that shit.
How dare I at a comedy club? She came here for a TED Talk. Everybody knows you go to the basement for political opinion. I don't even know what he's saying, but it's just shit sounds tense.
You a bitch.
Why do you think I'm doing this for a living? You think I was a football player? I'm a bitch, go ahead, damn it.
His crowd work is better than his jokes.
There's nothing you can say to me. I haven't said 6 inches from the mirror. You're the first name going in my suicide note tonight. Have a good night, Kamala Harris. Now's the time I need you on my side.
No, that was the most racist joke ever.
No, I got like 4 more in the chamber.
No, Kamala Harris.
Wait, don't drop the scarf, man. That was $3 at Dollar Tree, man.
No.
Yeah, go pick up the gun she left under the chair.
Are you serious? No, y'all want to laugh about
I'm so horny for no reason right now. Don't bully me, I'll come, bitch.
All right, I'll come around on this guy.
You're right. His crowd work is a lot better than his jokes.
Yeah.
But maybe he knows that going in. This lady's just a psychopath. Who knows?
She's clearly there's something clearly wrong with her.
Okay, wait, hold on. Focus. Before I do my last joke, can I ask you a question? What part was I being racist at? I didn't even get to my Jim Crow jokes yet. I got blackface over here in the trunk. I was ready. Why the fuck you recording? Put your goddamn phone down and sit. Can I ask you a question?
No idea.
Was I being racist?
No idea.
It was what?
It was Cupcake.
Cupcake?
Yeah.
What the dog? That's what she was upset about? It took her 15 minutes to be that mad? It was, I feel like we're processing it at the same time.
See, I wouldn't be justifying shit. I wouldn't be justifying anything. Now he's like, what was the racist part? If you don't like it, get the fuck out. Period.
That's another problem now is everybody really wants to apologize. So what did I do wrong?
Yeah.
Do you think that's the joke I told? Get over it. I'm not apologizing for it.
Do you think any of the heavy hitters back in the day apologized for it? No.
Could you imagine Richard Pryor coming out and going, I may have made some comments at my show last night that offended some people, and I'm going to say from my heart, I don't mean to. No, never. Never happened.
You don't.
Nor would it have been expected to happen because it wasn't the apology culture back then.
Yep. And you don't apologize for art. I don't apologize for anything that's in The Warrior. It's about a little kid with cancer and how it affects families. But okay, so we had them steal a bike back. Oh, I'm gonna apologize for them stealing their bike back.
That was a good scene, by the way. That was fun.
Like I don't understand apologizing for your art. You present it to the public. If they don't like it, they can get the fuck out and leave.
But people can't turn things off now because they love to be enraged and offended. It's like lots of YouTube channels. Their gimmick is just bitching about things over and over and over and over and over again. And I love a good roast. And I even like some reaction channels are fun if they're funny and entertaining. I have no problem with it. But it gets old after a while.
I can't watch it for 4 hours of the same complaining and bitching and moaning.
No.
Like if there's a couple comments and you have maybe a segment that had where you were talking about whatever, I'm fine with that. That's because it's like it's what you're into. But to sit there and talk about it for 5 fucking hours, god dang.
Yeah. Now I know you said you had a Kill Tony segment.
Okay, so the last 2 videos that I have is it's a 1-minute clip about what Kill Tony said at the Republican or the Trump rally. And then I have the reaction video that John Leguizamo said. And I'd put this in a previous video and people were fucking crying and whining about me putting it in the video. So I want to play both just to give you context. This is 2024. We can't make fucking jokes now. And it's like John Leguizamo is just like, it's the most racist ever. And I played videos about him before. The dude is a straight up psychotic communist. Like he's crazy. So, but yeah, so I've got the 2 videos. Those are my 2 last videos that I have, and then I see that you have a link in there that we'll check out.
I thought for an
so
outro would be fun.
Okay, so let me share this first one, and this is like a minute long.
I mean, all these pointless wars. It is unbelievable what's happening right now. It is incredible. Ukraine versus Russia, Israel, it's like bad soccer games. Who even cares? What are we doing? Why is our money involved in these wars? When it comes to Israel and Palestine, we're all thinking the same thing. Settle your stuff already. Best out of 3. Rock, paper, scissors. You know the Palestinians are going to throw rock every time.
That's a pretty good one.
But you also know the Jews have a hard time throwing that paper. You know. All right, having fun now. We're cooking. Been in.
That's what he was pissed about. What did he say that was I think it's Trump derangement syndrome, and that's it.
I agree.
Anything that was like out of order. Like, I can understand if he had like a flag and he's jumping up and down. I mean, I can understand like if he was making a big spectacle about shit and saying everybody should die and also this crazy shit. He didn't.
And that's super tame compared to some of the shit like we were watching the older comedians say.
We
Like, that was nothing.
literally scream at people. And he literally makes a comment about, you know, rock, paper, scissors. Are you kidding me? Like, how soft and shitty have people gotten the last 30 years? I don't understand. I don't understand how I always talk about it on the other show is the journey getting from point A to point B. Like, what happened in there? That's what gets me excited. What happened with the journey? What happened with comedy that we have Kinnison to this soft as cupcakes and people are offended?
I wonder if
I don't get
my
it.
parents' generation felt this way about me and when we were young, you know, in our teens and 20s. I don't think so. I don't think there's such a divide now.
Yeah.
Like, even with parents in the I have a young daughter who is super left. Now she's 20, kind of supposed to be when you're 20, but there are things I can't talk to her about. And that bothers me as a father. I'm like, I should be able, you know, you're my daughter. I love you. We should be able to joke and talk, but it's gotta be like eggshells.
It's wild. And do you think it's a learned behavior, or do you think that she is that way because her friends are like that?
It goes back. I think it's not having me around all the time. She's the youngest one. My older kids are not like that. The younger they get, the more like that they are.
Okay.
So, but on the other hand, though, I think it's coming. I think the tide is turning back.
I think it is slowly.
Yeah, like I talk to my son and I hear him talk to his friends, and I'm like, fuck, that's the kind of shit we used to say. Like,
yeah,
I think that's coming back. I think the younger generation, guys especially,
and busting each other's balls. That's what we did.
Right.
What we did as kids.
It's not
Busting each other's
personal.
balls. And now it's like there's a debate of who has balls and who doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
What?
That's a good one, Derek.
Okay, so this is the John. Give me 1 second. This is not the John. Let me see if I can find it.
While you're looking for it, I think the Kill Tony show is a big reason that things are changing a bit. That's actually kind of edgy shit. If you've ever watched Kill Tony.
I've watched a little bit here and there. Yeah. It's on YouTube, right?
Yep.
I'm just gonna try to look for it real quick. If I can't find it, then we'll just move on.
Next. My son is 25, and he eats that shit up. Him and his friends love that Kill Tony, Shane Gillis, all that, those comedians. That's like the hot thing.
And Shane Gillis is he's good, but he's a little bit politically correct. Maybe he might say some offhand comments here and there, but he's still kind of he's not innocent, not even close.
No, we don't have anybody comparable to that quite yet.
6, create a digital safe haven for whistleblowers and defectors. Not everyone inside this regime is loyal. Some are scared, some want out. Build the channels. Encrypted, anonymous, protected. Make it easy for the cracks in the system to become gaping holes. And while you're at it, stop ostracizing MAGA defectors. Everyone makes mistakes.
Gaping holes, huh?
Very critical ones. We are not the bullies. We are not the ones.
But this isn't I wanted to share this. This isn't the video that I was thinking of, but this gives you just kind of an insight of what this guy.
Yeah, he's LARPing as some sort of revolutionary. He's acting. It's like he can't stop acting.
And he had a problem with Kill Tony's comments there. And he went on about how everybody's racist and the Chicanos are, you know, it's like, what are you talking about? Like, what are you talking? He didn't say anything like that.
If I recall, some of his roles have been quite stereotypical. And I guess since he's a Latino, he's allowed to do it, I suppose. But
you automatically get a pass. I mean, is that how it works?
Yes, you do. And that's another crutch that's holding back. Actually, I think white male comedians, there are things they just can't say, whereas minority comedians can pretty much say whatever, which I like. I just don't like the double standard.
I don't. And everybody doesn't have to be innocent. Everybody doesn't have to be Robin Williams, and I understand that. And there are people that stand out and that are great, but changing with the times is something that artists do, depending on what the subject matter is. But comedy has always been where you can watch it and laugh and just separate yourself from the shit that's outside that door, and that you're laughing your ass off at something that's funny.
Who do you think is, if somebody asked, if you did a poll of Americans, who would be, and you asked, who's the top comedian now? Who do you think that would be? I can't even think of one, really.
Maybe Shane Gillis.
He's
got a social media presence that people like him. Kill Tony's popular because of Kill Tony. His stand-up is okay. But because of the show that they present and everything else, people like that. Chappelle's a legend.
That's true. All right, well, there you go.
But Chappelle's not going to be around forever. And Chappelle didn't become Chappelle until later. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's true. I maintain that the Chappelle Show may be the funniest television show to ever be.
Yeah,
I could watch those skits over and over. Laugh every time.
So, yeah. I pulled this one up. It's the Biff Tannen song.
Yeah, I thought that'd be a fun little lighthearted, since we saw Tom Wilson earlier.
Yeah. So yeah, well, let's check this out. Oop. That's pretty funny. That's real funny. I had a Gary Busey moment. I worked on Celeb Rehab for VH1, and Gary Busey was on one of the seasons, and he was a season that I worked with him on. He would walk up to the women and just like walk right up to their nose and just kind of like look at them. Interesting dude. The dude was a weirdo.
He's a whack job. Oh, but was he always like that? Didn't he get in a bad motorcycle accident or something?
Yeah, he was a druggie, and then he smacked his head on the concrete thing from the 101 freeway, and he's been a nut job ever since. But it's one of those ones where it's like I watched the Buddy Holly story when I was a little kid, Point Break, and it's like,
great.
Man, he was great. And then when you meet him in person, it's like, God, this guy's a weirdo. But we can wrap it up now. But I thought this was a great conversation. This is kind of what I wanted to do, is just take a topic, have conversation, watch some videos, and that kind of show what we're talking about. So I appreciate it, and I thought it was pretty good. We went an hour and a half, hour and a half. which I thought it'd be like an hour, but yeah, we stretched out to about an hour and a half, so that wasn't too bad. So
I appreciate you inviting me on, Derek. I had a good time.
Yeah, I thought it was real fun. So we're gonna play the outro, and thank you everybody for watching. Watching after the fact, and please like and subscribe. Check out myself on X. Check out Julio on X, and we're gonna do this at noon on Sundays. So come hang out with us. We appreciate it. Bye.
Always do it on my own, so I gotta get through it. And the only thing I know is to love what I'm doing. Never give up, never slow, till I finally prove it. Never listen to the no's, I just wanna keep moving. Keep my head up when I act, head up, that's a fact. Never looking back, I'ma keep myself on track. Keep my head up, staying strong, always moving on. Feel I don't belong, tell my thoughts to move along. Push myself to be the best, die with no regrets. Live with every breath, see my message start to spread. And I had so many dreams, then you hit your teens. Life ain't really what it seems, try to find out what it means. Always do it on my own, so I gotta get through it. And the only thing I know is to love what I'm doing. Never give up, never slow, till I finally prove it. Never listen to the no's, I just wanna keep moving. Yeah, I put out all this art, it's my only medicine.